here it is, the coveted grilled onion blossom recipe as requested by one Travis Kirk. First step, you got to make the onion into an onion blossom. Take a chef knife. You're going to peel this bad boy and you're going to leave the roots attached. That's an important part of it. So, we're going to start out by cutting off the top, just like so. Just like you're fixing to chop this thing. Alright, you're leaving the roots attached, you're just peeling off the extra peel. And if I can get all this off of here without destroying the onion, it'll be a miracle. Okay. Now you need to make it blossom. Now in order to make it blossom, you need to cut it into, what, eighths. So starting with your chef knife, you're going to cut down the center of your onion. You're not going to go all the way through the onion because you want your onion to blossom. You don't want to cut it in half. So you're going to cut almost down to the roots. Then you're going to cut it across the other way. This will give you quartered. It is not easy to do without an onion blossom cutting tool, so be very careful. Alright, then you're going to cut those into halves as well. This will give you your eighths. Fractions. Math is fun.
No, it's not.
Alright, now you want to make sure that it actually blossoms into petals. Take your fingers and just peel apart each of the petals to make sure that you have a nice blossom effect. If you notice that it's not cut all the way through, just like I did right here, you can take your knife and cutting along the same line, lean toward your cutting board and cut all the way down just until you have separated your blossoms. When you are finished, you should have something resembling an onion blossom. So, I have to lay my foil down first so as not to make a huge mess. And then you'll need your seasonings. First things first, you need something to help it stick. I use olive oil, Tony Chachere's Cajun seasoning, Zatarain's blackened seasoning, garlic powder, and most of the times I use Italian seasoning. I don't have Italian seasoning, so I'm going to use just plain oregano, just to give it a little bit of a nice flavor. Most of your flavor is coming from the onion anyway, so you're playing with it really. I don't use the same exact recipe every time. I literally use whatever seasonings I have in the house, and I just kind of play with it. So you want to make sure that you get a little bit of olive oil drizzled in between each of your petals. So just lightly drizzle your olive oil while separating your petals. Alright, once you've got all your petals seasoned, you will start applying your seasonings. Start with your Tonys. Why? Because why not? Again, I don't usually follow a recipe, so this is just play it by ear. If you like a lot of spice, you like a lot of flavor, you can go a little heavy on this. Just remember that Tony's is salty, so it's going to make your food salty if you use too much of it. I just try to get a light sprinkling and cover everything. Next up is your blackened seasoning. Now the blackened seasoning is going to add a lot more flavor and a little more spice to it, but it's not salty like the Tony's. Again, this is a very important part of the process to making this onion blossom delicious. So make sure you get it between your petals. If you don't get any between your petals are not going to have any flavor. They're just going to taste like onion. Alright. Next, garlic powder. Now, I like to go a little heavy with my garlic powder because I like it. It's tasty. So, sprinkle your garlic powder on and don't be shy. And last but not least, Italian seasoning, or in my case, oregano. You can also use a blend of oregano and parsley. I don't have any parsley that I know of, so I'm just going to sprinkle oregano.
We have parsley.
We do? Okay, well, that's fine. I'm not going to use it because I've already got these up.
In the back.
So just sprinkle your oregano in, and oregano is freaking delicious. So it's going to really help to add a little bit of flavor to your onion. Again, you want to make sure you get it in between each of your petals. Now, this next step it's important. So you want to make sure that you completely seal up your onion in your foil. So I'm going to rinse my hands real quick so that I get a grip on it. You don't want to be too rough with your foil because you don't want to puncture it. You're going to throw this onion on the grill before you add your meats because it takes a little longer to cook than your meats. So, close your onion up and then wrap it with your foil. Now, when I do mine, I always try to make sure that I can open it up and make it look just like that when I open it back up, because what I'm going to end up doing is, while I get toward the end of the cooking process, I will open this thing up and turn this onion open side down over the hot coals. Now what this does is it allows more heat and of course more smoke into the onion blossom, which will flavor your onion. Now when you get done, it should look something like that. Like a little bomb, and then you're ready to go. Okay, now I cannot stress this enough. So your onion will take a while to cook. So make sure that as soon as your coals are ready and hot, that your onion goes on right then. Otherwise, you are going to have a raw onion and nobody's going to appreciate it. So as soon as you get your coals ready, your onion needs to go on the coal bed. Get them up in there. Put that onion on there. Alright. We gotta let this grill heat up a little bit before we add the zucchini and squash that I'm cooking as well. So I'm gonna let that, there we go. I'll let that do its magic for a little bit, and then I'm gonna add my zucchini and squash. So as I mentioned, this onion's gonna take a while. So leave it on there. Don't fool with it too much. Just let it cook the whole time that you are cooking whatever else you're cooking. Now I highly recommend that you use a good charcoal grill for this. I've never used a pellet grill before. I know you have a pellet grill, so if you have a pellet grill, try it, knock yourself out. If you get a good flavor from your pellet grill, go for it. I use a charcoal grill because I love the taste of charcoal, so that's just personal preference. I think it adds a great flavor to all the foods that I cook, especially this onion. Now, while this is on here cooking, and before I put my zucchini and squash on the grill, I'm going to go ahead and make up my onion blossom sauce, which is a little tricky, but if it's done right, adds a whole new element to the wonders of this onion blossom. So let's go do that real quick. Okay, so if this thing doesn't fall, we're going to work on the onion blossom sauce. Now, here's the rub. I don't have all the ingredients that I need to make it, so I'm just going to have to improvise. Now, my normal ingredients involve mayo, ranch, Frank's Red Hot, which I do not have right now, blackened seasoning, garlic powder, and a little bit of our dear friend Tony Chachere's. Lots of different ingredients. So, because I don't have the Frank's Red Hot, I'm going to improvise. We're going to actually include a little dab, very little dab of sriracha. And because my mayo is very low, I'm going to be cutting it with a little Miracle Whip, and that is sacrilegious, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, let's give it a try, and we'll see how it turns out. I have my lovely assistant here walking away from me. because she's going to taste it and make sure that it's not terrible. So I'm going to get every bit of mayo that I can out of here, and it's not going to be a whole lot because mayo. Cool. Barely a tablespoon. So we're going to cut it with a little bit of Miracle Whip. And this is probably going to compromise the integrity of everything that I'm doing over here. So half and half, mayo and Miracle Whip. Alright, cool. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of ranch dressing. Again, I don't measure. There it is. A dab of sriracha sauce. Always make sure you shake your sriracha sauce well. And your Frank's Red Hot and anything else that you're using, because you want to make sure that you get the right flavors. Again, I don't measure. Alright, now garlic powder. Without measuring, a little garlic powder, a little bit of the blackening seasoning, a little bit of Tony's. Again, I don't measure. I never measure. We mix this up. Alright, so I'm going to look at it. I'm going to say, this needs a little something. Ketchup. Why? Because it needs a little bit of kick. Ketchup gives it just the right amount of kick. Boop. No, not measuring. Alright, now the beauty part of this is that this is one of those sauces that when you mix up these ingredients, you actually have to let them sit in the fridge while everything else is happening. That's why I recommend making this sauce as soon as the onion goes on to the grill. That way it's got a minute to sit in the fridge and the flavors are able to marry. It would be ideal to do it overnight so that the flavors can marry overnight. Alright, so let's see. That's a little bland. Alright, so I'm going to try something new that I've never tried before. I'm going to add a little bit of chicken dipping sauce to it. This is the Great Value brand chicken dipping sauce. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to add a little bit of a smoky flavor to it. A little bit of a mustardy flavor to it. And I feel like it didn't have enough kick, but since I can't really taste right now, I'm going to let my wife try it, and if she feels like it needs a little bit more of a kick, I'm going to add some more blackened seasoning to it. I'll do that already, because it doesn't have enough in there.
Scrape that mayo off on the side there.
Get a little bit of that blackened seasoning in there. Might need a little bit more garlic. I really can't tell. So I'll let my lovely assistant try it, and she's going to tell me if it needs a little more kick or a little more something else.
I like it as is.
As is? No more heat? No more garlic?
Nope.
Alright. So there you go. Wife likes it as is. So now once you get it done, it's going to look a little bit like that. It's orange and it's got all kinds of nasties and prettiness up in it. So it looks like cane sauce. That's what you want it to look like. It's kind of orange, kind of orangish pink, and it's got all sorts of spices and flavors mixed into it. Now, the next step is going to be prepping the rest of your stuff, because your onion blossom is done until you turn it over on the grill. Now, I'll be back once it gets time to do all of that. So I'm just about ready to throw my meat onto the grill, which means that my onion should be pretty deadgum close to being where I'm ready to open it up, turn it over, and allow some of that flavor from the charcoal to get into it. So you can hear it kind of starting to bubble. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but if you look at the onion right here, you can see steam escaping out of the top of your foil. That's a good sign. You give it a little squeeze, boy howdy, the thing is already getting tender. Now, this is the important part. Be careful doing this because you don't want to burn yourself. Alright, so the onion, which has been cooking for a minute, is pretty close to done right now. It's already feeling kind of tender. All I'm going to do is take this, and this is probably going to cause a little bit of a flare up. I'm just prepared for that. I'm going to turn it over like this. BAM! And I'm actually going to let the oil flare up a little bit. just to kind of cook that onion. Woo. Got some nice caramelization going on right there. You know what? I'm just gonna let it burn for a second. While that's doing, meat is going on the grill. Doesn't that sound beautiful? All right, steak's going on. All right, now I don't want to burn my onions, so I'm gonna grab her, let that die down, and I'm gonna move it over here where I have less heat. Gonna let it continue to cook. Open top down now. What that's going to do, as I mentioned before, is going to allow some of the flavor from the charcoal, the smoke, to get inside of the onion. Again, I don't follow a recipe. This is literally just me kind of winging it. So let it kind of cook for a little bit till it's good and tender. You know how you like your onions. Some people like them a little al dente. Personally, I like my onion really tender. If I can eat it with a fork, dip it in my sauce, it's great. So I'm just going to give it a little bit to continue to cook like that. Then I'm going to pull it off. We're going to put it in a bowl. We're going to dress it up. We're going to make it look beautiful. And then we're going to see how it tastes. Now that your onion is off the grill, I let it cook for another minute or two. Open side down. You just got to get it out of here. You see the steam coming off? I usually just take it and just tear the foil. Try to tear it down the middle. Take some tongs if you need to and kind of scooch it out of there, man. This is the hardest part. It's just trying to get it out of there without making a mess. Alright. There it is. One delicious looking grilled onion blossom. And the middle petals are usually a little al dente. Don't be freaked out by that. I will actually take my tongs, grab, and pull those out. They're still good. I just want to make a nice flat center bit so that I can put my sauce, because you always want to make sure that your presentation is on point. If you don't have ramekins that you can use to put your sauce in, you know, just do what we did and steal them from a local restaurant, you know, because that's a thing. And you want to take your sauce that you mixed up and carefully scoop it into a beautiful ramekin. I have blue ones. I have white ones as well. I like my blue one. I think it's the best looking one. That is completely pointless information, but you know. Take this puppy right here, set her right in the middle, give it a little press down. Your onion blossom will actually kind of fall apart. If it's done, it should just kind of spread out in the middle. And always remember to garnish your onion. So parsley is a fantastic garnish. So just give her a little sprinkling of parsley, like so. And not to be outdone, my old friend blackening seasoning, because I love the red coloring. Just like so. And there you have it. A delicious grilled onion blossom, ready to be devoured by my beautiful wife, because this is her favorite thing that I put on the grill. And she's going to destroy it right now. So I hope this helped. I hope you enjoy making your own grilled onion blossom, and hopefully yours turns out as good, if not better, than this one.